Go!
Why don't you start us off?
This may come as a shock to some people, but I actually disagree. I don't think this is the best superhero movie of all time. I think it's the best movie of all time.
See?
Yeah. Yeah, I got you there.
You got me there for a second. Okay.
Yeah, no, this is genuinely my favorite movie of all time. Has been since it came out. It's like one of those movies I remember so vividly. Seeing in theaters, it was like a big event.
So best movie of all time?
Best movie of all time.
In other words?
Martin Scorsese approved, actually.
Spider-Man 2, it's perfect. It's like, and it's not like any other superhero movie that I've seen. You know what I mean? It just, I don't know, it kind of goes into what it means to be a superhero. You know what I mean? And how, like, difficult and probably, like, terrible it would be. You know what I mean?
But also that...
also rewarding.
How rewarding it is, even if you don't get the recognition you want.
Exactly, yeah. And
that doing the right thing isn't just doing it, for praise or approval or anything. Because, like, the whole thing about Spider-Man is, like, everyone hates him.
Literally, this movie beats down on him. Like, like he had to be an old lady with a stick to get those beans. Like, it's
without total, utter adoration from the people. Like, he still does what he needs to do, the right thing. So, yeah, I love this movie too. Now watching them again after like so many like other Marvel movies and the new Spider-Man movies and all these other Marvel movies now, it's like, yeah, this is kind of a breath of fresh air. Peter, he's struggling so much. We were talking about this when we were watching it, but like without a single word of dialogue, we get his struggle so much. Everyone's shitting on this guy like the whole movie. Life fucking sucks for him. It sucks to be Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's an impossible task to balance his personal life and being Spider-Man.
And then we get the very small but very like visually like just so like poignant scene where he's just like walking. We get all those posters of MJ all around him.
Yeah.
And that without a word of dialogue, you get his struggles. It sucks. His life sucks right now. It's so hard.
Yeah. And with all this too, he's losing his powers as well.
Yeah.
It seems like.
And once again, without overly explaining it, you get that like, oh, his powers aren't working because he's not so into being Spider-Man yet.
And Doc Ock says himself too, like, if you keep something as complicated as love stored up inside, it can make you sick.
Yeah.
He gets sick.
It's making him sick. His arc is all about like, no, I'm Spider-Man. I love being Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I will always be Spider-Man. We get these scenes with Peter once again, like he can't catch a fucking break, and so he goes to this party and he's just trying to get a drink, Peter. And every time,
That's right.
he's just like, nope. Oh, I got it. It's empty. Great,
Bro, it's so good. I love that part so much, and I forgot about it.
Yeah,
It's
so many little
funny.
moments that Tobey Maguire like plays so perfectly, where once again he's not like so mad where it's just like I hate life, but it's more just like a little disappointment,
Yeah,
just like how we would all feel in real life, like when we have a bad day.
Yeah,
it's just like,
can I catch a break?
oh man,
Jeez.
all right,
Yeah.
well, but then he keeps getting back up, and that's the whole thing with Spider-Man. It's just like, well, that sucks. All right, let me try again. Let me do this now. And that's the whole movie. He's just trying and trying and trying. Eventually, he's up to a breaking point, where he's just like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Even though our lives aren't exactly like this, we've felt that way before.
Yeah.
We have felt that way before, where it's just like, maybe it's easier to give up.
It's a very real thing.
And it's selfish,
Yeah.
obviously, but once again, it feels real. It feels like something we ourselves would do.
Well, it
That's-
is easier to give up.
Yeah.
And it
It
is.
is.
That's the thing.
Well, no, it is easier to give up. That's why like so many people do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it takes like a hero in all of us to keep trekking on and keep believing in ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's why like being
As
I'm becoming a philosopher
As
now.
Aunt May said, sometimes we just got to keep steady.
Well, yeah, and that's why like it's so important to be alive. It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the great thing about how this
Very
movie.
good.
It is.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it is,
really.
though.
No,
that's the
it is.
thing.
No, it's true.
That's the thing
Yeah, yeah.
about this movie. That's like you get that every time you watch it.
There's moments where Peter Parker is a little tempted to go back to being Spider-Man, like really realistic, even though he's chosen like no more. There are moments where he's like, no,
Yeah.
no, I won't do it.
And there's also moments of like our in kind of that sequence when like there's cop cars, ambulances going by, and he's
Right.
eating the hot dog, and it's like, I'm good, I'm all right.
But it's almost
You know?
like in a way like he has to kind of delude himself a little bit. Like, no,
Yeah.
I'm fine with this. I decided Spider-Man no more. I have to stick by it. So there's always a part of him that's like, should I do something about this?
Isn't it about time somebody saved your life?
So good. Where it's like the train scene, and I was talking about this with you, but like when he's stopping the train and he's doing the web thing and he like puts his feet on the tracks or whatever, at first like it hurts. And then he's like, let me stop for a second. If it was any other superhero right now, they'd just be like, all right, perfect. But instead, like it's hard. You feel everything when he gets hurt, when he gets hit, whatever. And so like, yeah, I just need a second, and then let me try again. Spider-Man trying again. Every moment you feel like, wow, he just did that, because it wasn't easy. It was so hard, but he did it, and that's the whole thing about being Spider-Man. But and brilliantly done through the performance.
So it ends with like he gives up his own happiness to be Spider-Man, to help other people. That's kind of like the gist of it.
Right.
But then it does this thing that gets me crying every single time, is that it gives him a happy ending still.
Yeah.
And it works so well.
It's so earned, because the whole
Yes.
movie he's struggling, and so when he finally gets a win at the end, it's like,
There's nothing more satisfying.
finally we get the final swing, and this time it's a little more triumphant than even the first one, where like once again we're kind of pulled back and we see like, yeah, he's kind of loving it now, like being Spider-Man. He's like, woohoo! And he's like, and the helicopters are there, and it's like, yeah, we're pulled back for a reason. Why? And we cut to MJ, and it's like, yeah, this isn't like a completely happy ending either. She's like, she's made a decision, but at that moment she's alone. So it's like, what does that mean? But that's the whole thing about Spider-Man. Like, it's hard, but it's worth it. She's alone right now, but it's worth it.
You
Beautiful.
worded it exactly how I've never been able to word it. Like, no, truly.
Tobey Maguire leads it with like emotional vulnerability and strength, which I really love to see.
I love that strength too.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
Ooh, good work.
Well, no,
It's
it's-
just-
Good, write that down.
Anyone who says Tobey Maguire is not good in this movie is freaking wrong.
I never
Sorry, I was
too-
looking at you
Yeah,
as
yeah,
I was
yeah.
saying
I know, it's like, I didn't say that.
Find us some shade. Thanks, Hot Legs.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. What are we talking about today, Hunter?
Spider-Man 3.
A thwip. Because
Hey.
it's 3.
It's 3.
When Spider-Man asks Gwen Stacy to kiss him.
Yes. Thank you.
I mean, what that destroys the entire credibility of the character Peter Parker. I think what they were going for was let's fuck this up like so badly that the audience is like, well, how could he possibly recover? And then what they do is they do a pretty good job recovering all
And
of
they do.
that.
I still like Tobey Maguire in the movie, though. It's not nearly as good as the other 2 times. I still think his performance still shines through in the movie. I think like there's a lot wrong with it, especially just like unlikability in the script and just like why'd you do that? But I think as a whole, I still think he's doing a good job.
That's something that I appreciate about this trilogy, is that you can see, especially in this one too, like you can see a path for Spider-Man where he goes bad. And in this
Yeah.
one, it's like,
This is the
oh,
closest he
yep.
will ever be to being like a bad guy.
Yeah, and for most of the movie, he is.
Yeah,
He's
kind of the villain of the movie for a lot of it. As
Yeah.
much as we have all these villains, like the real like the stakes and the real like dramatic weight of it is like, will Peter Parker become a bad guy? And he kind of becomes a little bit of a bad guy, and in his own way becomes like what he thinks is cool. And yeah, let's talk about emo Peter Parker.
Let's talk
now.
about emo Peter, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Dude, Jono, what do you think? What are you thinking?
I thought that shit was corny as fuck.
And it was supposed to be,
And you loved it.
I thought that
didn't
shit
you?
was corny as fuck.
and I loved it.
And I loved it too, Nick.
Yes?
I did, dude.
Yes, thank you. He thinks he's cool. He's not cool.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
some people do like him.
Okay.
And not to say like he's not charming, but like he's he's feeling himself all right,
Yeah,
but
and
like not everyone around him
All the
almost
women
is
are like,
huh?
oh, jeez.
Jesus.
Sure, yeah.
So it's kind of a sad. Not
At
maybe
least
not
the
a
women
satire.
were repulsed. I mean, that was
exactly.
realistic.
He's acting like a loser.
Exactly. He's acting like a jerk, and he has this chaotic energy that I love, especially in that montage. Not only with the dancing, but with the cookies.
The cookies, dude. That scene, I love that scene. I'm not gonna lie.
The cookie scene is fine, but
We get this great scene again with Aunt May where she's like, now you got to do the hardest thing. You got to forgive yourself. And it's like
cool.
that's so real. That's a
cool.
great scene.
Yeah, it is.
And it's like, yeah, I super duper relate to that, and I'm sure you guys do too. It's
Yeah.
like whenever we make a stupid, silly mistake, I know I just like replay it over and over in my head. I'm like, that's so fucking stupid. Why'd I do that? But eventually you got to fucking forgive yourself.
Yeah, we're our hardest critics. And
Absolutely.
that's why,
Worst enemy.
that's why Spider-Man's so
And that's why
relatable.
Spider-Man 3 kind of works a little bit because, in a way, his worst enemy in the movie is himself.
Which is true. That's true for literally all of us. I think, at least, I speak for myself.
sure,
and
man,
you-
definitely.
Yeah.
And that's what it all boils down to. This movie is
Forgiveness.
about forgiveness.
Okay, think about it. Biggest superhero franchise ever in this moment, right? In the 2000s.
I would have to agree.
Very good. Thank you, Johnny.
We can agree on this.
John O.
All right, fine.
Okay, fine. But, the biggest franchise right now, right? And it ends with such a small and intimate moment just between Peter and MJ just dancing.
Right.
And just
One of the only things
without
in
any
this
words
movie.
of dialogue, mind you, reconciling.
One of the
forgiving
only
each other.
moments that isn't forced.
That's such a cool way to end a movie like this. Tobey Maguire, as a whole, like all three movies even, this aw shucks kind of like, I don't know, energy to it, but it's never like so much where like it doesn't feel real. It feels like a genuine guy, very sensitive to the world and to life and to the people he loves. Some of my favorite characters even are like feel so much, even if it's very flawed thinking or very flawed feelings or whatever. It like, when you're feeling the same things the character feels, I think that's a huge success.
Sure.
Not only in the character writing, but also in the performance. And I think that is why I love Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Definitely.
I don't think that as we go forward in this series, I don't know if we're going to see a better Spider-Man.
We'll see. Guys, thank you so much for listening, for watching. I've been Nick.
I've, at times, been Hunter.
We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube. We have a website, NYC Actors Talk Film. We have an Instagram. Joey Dalton,
Yes.
amazing man, amazing artist. Thank you so much for the logo. It looks incredible. Check us out for new episodes. 3, 2, 1. Butterfingers.
Butterfingers.
Go,
Don't lay finger on my butterfinger. Don't lay finger on my butterfinger. Butterfingers. Butterfingers.
The human spider?
go.
That sucks.
Whoa, dude. Butterfinger.
Do you know how much I've sacrificed?
Butterfinger.
Do you know how much I've sacrificed?
The power of the sun
I'm not a bad guy.
in the
I just
power
had
of
bad
my
luck.
hand.
I'm not a bad guy. I've
Not
just
a-
had bad luck.
I'm not a bad
I
guy.
like being bad. I like being bad.
I like being bad. I like being bad.
It makes me happy.
feel
It makes me happy.
I like being bad.
If you know what I mean.
Hey, hot legs. I like being bad. I like being bad. It makes me feel happy. I like being bad. I like being bad. Get us some shade, hot legs.
Spider-Man, it's Spider-Man, it's Spider-Man, it's Spider-Man doing what Spider-Man can. Beep that, beep it, Spider-Man. Look out, it's Spider-Man, he's singing white stuff at your face.
Now dig on this.
Like being bad 'cause it makes me happy. Like being bad. Now
Dig on this.
Hot legs.
You're trash,
Hot
Brock.
legs.
where do these guys come from? Where do these guys come from?
You got nuts?
Where do
You
these
got
guys
nuts?
come from?
You got nuts?
Give me
You got
some
nuts?
milk.
Dig.
Give me some milk. Give me
Dig
some
on
milk.
this.
Do you have rent?
Dig on this.
You get the rent when you fix the damn door.
Do you have nuts?
Rent?
Have nuts.
My
Do
hair
you
was this
have
way, now it's that way.
nuts? Do you have nuts? Do you have
guns.
nuts?
Finger guns.
Get me
Finger
more
guns.
milk.
Pelvic thrust.
Get me
Finger
more
guns
milk.
and pelvic
Serious?
thrust.
Boom. Parker.
You serious?
How much is that camera?
Gonna get some whiplash.
Parker.
Film is extra. Film is extra.
Film is extra. Film is extra.
Oh, and then how we end the song? Thanks.
That's it. Pizza time.